All right. Hey, okay. So we're at the Q&A session for what's going to happen in 2024. So, hey, I want to answer all those questions. Obviously, though, because we're now on a new session on the Q&A, I do need you to put your question in the chat box because it's going to be impossible for me to remember all of them. So, hey, if you enjoyed our last session talking about what's going to happen in Costa Rica 2024, hey, put me a comment in there. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the greatest, you thought it was awesome, you enjoyed it, give me a 10. And if you think, I didn't like it so much, give me a 1. Hey, in between, give me a 5. Hey, you can't hurt my feelings. Hey, I enjoy having these Living in Costa Rica podcasts. I enjoy doing these Q&As. Hey, yeah, it does take time from my busy schedule, but you know what? For me, I enjoy sharing, and I do all this in order to help you. So, hey, welcome back, Doug from Northern Alberta, Canada. Hey, let me know, where are you watching from? And hey, I'd be curious too. Would you if I'd be real curious to know, are you watching from Facebook or are you watching from YouTube? I think I'm supposed to be able to see it in the chat box because I think most people are watching it from YouTube, but I'm going to try to make it available so you can watch this from several different places. So, hey, welcome back, Randall from Minnesota. And Randall has a question. He says, can you do a live info Q&A on starting a business in Costa Rica? Absolutely. Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write it down right now and try to put that on my agenda as far as starting a business in Costa Rica. Starting a biz in Costa Rica, and I'll get all those topics. Matter of fact, I know someone who would be perfect to bring on to the Living in Costa Rica podcast on, hey, exactly what do you need to do to start a business in Costa Rica? Because, really, anybody that comes to Costa Rica, it doesn't matter whether you're a tourist or resident, you can indeed start a business, okay? But there are restrictions on whether you can actually work in that business or not. So, yeah, absolutely, Randall. I'll definitely make time to do that as soon as possible, okay? So, hey, well, welcome Emery from Maryland. He is watching from YouTube. He said, hey, thanks for letting me know. Hey, Doug, Doug said, I thought he was going to say he's watching Facebook. He says, don't have Facebook. Hey, look, if it were up to me, I wouldn't have Facebook either. Facebook is such a distraction. Jeff is listening from Colorado. Thanks, Jeff. Glad you're here. Ron Keller from Cibolo, Texas, watching on YouTube. So, hey, so glad that you're here. Hey, look, put in your questions in your comments. Somebody asked about, can you carry? And I'm sure he's talking about, can you actually legally carry a weapon in Costa Rica? And I saw someone actually give the correct answer. Okay. I can't say it's the actual legitimate correct answer. Okay. As far as I know, and I probably should check into it more, I have gone to a lot of different, how would you call it? Weapons armories. I think in Costa Rica, they like to call them armories. And an armory is just a place where they sell guns, sell ammunition, okay? And I've gone into several armories, and in my opinion, I don't think you can legally carry. In other words, you can't have a concealed weapon. I know that whenever I went into an armory, into a store to look at prices and buy some ammo, as an expat, and even as a Tico, in order to legally own a weapon, you must go through a school and you must get certified or licensed to carry or get a permit and just to own a weapon. And that's regardless of whether you have a .22 rifle or a pistol. You have to have a permit in order to carry one. Now, I think, I might be wrong on this, but I think in order for an expat to do that, you must be a permanent resident first before you can actually go to that school to own a weapon, okay? Now, I'm not saying that you can't go to some of these armories and actually buy it under the table. I'm not saying that. It can happen, but I'm not saying that you should do that. But that's what I know a lot of people do. And so it's just important that you know that. But in Costa Rica, you can't even buy ammo without showing your permit. But I will tell you, I bought ammo, okay, in Costa Rica, and I don't have a permit, okay? So there, no matter where you go at, there's the black market, okay? Now, it's kind of like the poor guy that got beat up by a tranny or got attacked or jumped on by a tranny. If you go to these places, you could get into trouble, okay? So I'm not suggesting you do anything illegal. I would never suggest that on my channel, but I can share personal experience, right? So anyway, I hope that answered your question on can you legally carry? I don't think you can legally carry. I know that when I went in trying to buy a pistol, the guy would sell me the pistol. He would sell me the ammo. Okay. But he told me, he says, you can have a pistol on your farm. Okay. And for the point of snakes or whatever, but you cannot have that pistol in your car. So he specifically told me, don't you have that pistol in your car? So in other words, I can buy it. I can transport it up to my farm. I can have it on my farm for whatever reasons, animals and stuff like that. But you better not get caught with it in your car. Obviously, if I'm just transporting it when I buy it there, okay. Buying a rifle, buying a shotgun. You know, I did visit a armory in San Jose just a few weeks ago and went in there and boy, I was shocked at the prices. So yeah, you can buy these weapons. He asked me if I had a permit and I showed him I didn't have a permit, you know, and he says, well, I can't sell it to you. But man, just for a regular 22 was crazy. I'm trying to remember how much it was, but it was like $10,000 for a 22. Maybe it was a special 22 golden barrel. I don't know, but it was real expensive. Okay. So I hope that answers your question about can you legally carry? But one guy answered and he says, most people carry a machete. And look, in the United States, I don't think anybody would let you inside of a business with a machete on your side. But you know what? I see ticos all the time. I mean, look, carrying a machete is like carrying your wallet in Costa Rica. So if you're looking for protection, carry a machete. I mean, I got a small machete. You know, I try not to ever go into the jungle without a machete. So look, this is just a real small machete. And hey, machetes are cheap, man. And so look, you know, I got this little bitty machete, and anytime I go into the mountains, like, hey, I had to work on the water system several times this week, as I was telling you guys, I keep that machete on my side. I'm constantly whacking, and if I see something, hey, so anyway, get you a machete if you're considering or thinking about protection. And hey, Doug says right here, not going to ask him how he knows this, but Doug says it's not hard to buy a gun under the table. Okay. Just somebody that is confirming what I've already told you. Okay. And hey, you know, Randall says, I have a cane. You know what? They make these canes. It's got a sword on the inside. Maybe I'm watching too much TV, but I have seen them. So, hey, having a cane is a good, kind of like carrying a baseball bat, right? You can have protection. Hey, Alan has a good question here. Okay. Oh man, with the influx of expats to Costa Rica, what are the chances of Costa Rica closing the borders to expats? Now, while I couldn't give you a definitive answer, I can tell you based on my experience, based on what I know, that will never. Did I say never? That'll never happen. Costa Rica will never close its doors to expats unless something just extreme happens, because Costa Rica is a greedy country. They're a poor country, and the government makes way too much money off of expats that come here. Okay. And the whole intent is that the expats coming to Costa Rica boost the economy, because they bring lots of money, and expats that come to Costa Rica, they will spend that money. And so the government makes way too much money off of expats. So I don't think they'll ever close the border to expats. And here's an example. If you want to be a resident, there's several different residency options. But look, this is just proof that Costa Rica is greedy as far as the government goes. If you want to retire in Costa Rica, Well, all you got to do is prove $1,000, and you can live on that $1,000 as a retiree in Costa Rica. But I'm not old enough to be retired. So I have to do what's called rentista, which means I have to prove that I make at least $2,500 a month. Well, wait a minute. Let me think about that. Why does it cost me more money to live? Why I got to prove 2,500? Why can't I just prove that I have $1,000 a month? Well, that's because Costa Rica is greedy. Okay, if you're still working, you should make more money. And if we force you to prove 2,500, well, then guess what? You're in when you finally do get approved, your caja is more expensive and Costa Rica makes more money. If you're a pension on it, okay, we'll give you a break. You're retired and we're not going to charge you as much. But we're greedy. So if you're working class, then you should have to internet circling for me. I must have got too close to the camera. Anyway, if you're a digital nomad, you got to prove 3,500. And so that could be even crazier. Okay. So, I mean, that's absolutely nuts. And so now your caja is crazy high. Well, you won't have caja as a digital nomad visa, but you got to buy insurance. Okay. But your digital, so it costs you to redo that every 2 years. Okay. So anyway, and then you can be an investor, which means you got to put down 150,000. So anyway, that's just my rant on, yeah, Costa Rica can be very greedy, but hey, I think almost any government can be greedy, right? That's just my opinion. Okay. So Dane says, well, how much money do you need to invest in Costa Rica? So my guess is your question, Dane, is to be an investor and benefit on the residency. So to be a resident category, investor category, you need to have at least 150,000. Now, look, that 150,000 could be, okay, you put down 100,000 for the property, and now you're going to put 50,000 down on the house. You just got to prove you spent 150. Or maybe you put, maybe you had 50,000 on the property, 50,000 on the house. You bought a brand new vehicle that was 50,000, $150,000. So you need to have at least $150,000 to be an investor in Costa Rica. Now, if that's not the question you're asking, you might be asking, well, how much do you need in order to be an entrepreneur in Costa Rica? Well, if that's the question you're asking, put that in the chat box, okay? Now, TP says, did Costa Rica just veto a tax-friendly bill for expats? I'm not sure. I don't have the answer to that one, TP. So maybe clarify it. I haven't heard of that. Okay. Now, yeah. Hey, I agree with you completely, Bill. I think sometimes the Costa Rican government is watching me because they did freeze me for a bit there. Never know. Okay. Okay. So Dane did clarify. He says when it comes to buying property, or when it comes to and I'm guessing you're saying, because look, when it comes to buying property, really, hey, I bought a small piece of property, and the smallest piece of property you can buy in Costa Rica is 200 square meters. Okay. So 200 square meters is the smallest size you can legally buy in Costa Rica. Hey, and I've said this before, and if you know the answer because you've heard me say it, well, then don't put it in the chat box. But if you don't know, how much do you think I paid for a 200 square meter piece of property in Costa Rica that I can legally build a house on? Okay, so now don't spoil it for everybody. If you already know the answer because you heard me say it before, don't say it. But if you don't know, just guess. I mean, you see lots. Tiny lots going for $100,000. You see, and it's crazy. How much did I pay for a 200 square meter lot? You tell me what you think, okay? And I'm going to look at some other questions, all right? Oh, I'm glad this question just came up because I can't wait to answer this question. Now, Emery said, there's a worldwide economic downturn. Do you think real estate prices will go down, or people will just hold until it improves? Okay, man, I'm glad you put that question up there because I meant to cover that in the Living in Costa Rica podcast. Okay, because right now, I think for this next year, maybe year and a half, because of the big influx of people coming into Costa Rica, we're going to see real estate prices go up, up. Because, hey, it's the law of supply and demand, right? Now, you can still find property now, and you can still find property cheap if you do your due diligence, if you know where to look. Okay, now, if we get, when the elections come, if we get someone like Trump, if we get Trump or someone like him who really wants to improve the economy, who wants to bring down inflation, here's what I think is going to happen in about 2 to 3 years. In about 2 to 3 years, we're going to see real estate prices drop, because right now everything is overinflated. Inflation is crazy. So I think if we get the right person in our United States government, we're going to see inflation just drop. Because look, there was no such thing as inflation whenever Donald Trump was president. The economy was just going so good. As soon as Biden got in, inflation went through the roof and insane. So if we get the right person in, I'm not saying Trump, I'm just saying if we get the right person in, then I think we're going to see inflation drop. We're going to see real estate prices drop and go back to where they belong in norm. So in Costa Rica, I think we're going to see prices drop, okay? And so your second part of that question, do you think it go down? Yes, I think it will go down. Do you think people will hold on till it improves? No. I think a lot of people that are selling their property, they start off asking large, hoping some idiot that's not doing their due diligence is going to want to buy, and they got more money than sense, and they're going to buy. That does happen. But I think most people, when they see the prices drop, they're going to drop because there's just too much property in Costa Rica. It's a buyer's market. You can buy anything, okay? And there's just, so because there's too much supply, if you want to sell your property, you're going to have to drop the prices. So I don't think people are going to hold on to it. You're going to have a few hard heads hold on to it, but most people are going to sell their property because they want to get out. And what's good is that in Costa Rica, if you're buying an existing building, they pretty much buy it furnished completely because it's too difficult to move that stuff back to the United States. So you can buy a property and it's throw away that you're going to throw away because it's just junk. And in Costa Rica, you don't have garage sales and things like that. So the best thing you can do is kind of put it on the side of the road with a sign that says gratis. And that way you can help out the local ticos, man. They'll come over there, like ants, and they'll haul it away. So at least you won't have to haul it to the junkyard. They'll come haul it away, and you're helping them because, hey, your junk is someone else's treasure, okay? And so you'll be able to help them, okay? So I think that's really a good way to help some of the locals. I know Rebecca and I, we came here and we rented furnished for 1 month. Then we rented a house because we could get it so cheap. And we just bought inflatable furniture. And then whenever we did buy a mattress, then we gave our inflatable mattress away to the neighbor, okay? Because they didn't have a mattress. They were on the floor, all right? So anyway, hey, JR says, how do you get a 99-year lease on a piece of property? You have to have the right attorney. Companies like McDonald's, big companies, they get a 99-year lease on a piece of property. Now, I've gone to attorneys, and they're like, oh, no, you can't get a 99-year lease. The most you can get is 10 years. Look, you have to keep asking. Just because one attorney tells you that you can't do it doesn't mean they know what they're talking about, okay? So you have to go and find, it's unfortunate. You can ask 10 different TICOs the same question. I promise you, you'll get 11 answers. How do you get 11 answers from 10 different people? Someone's going to change their mind. That's just Costa Rica. You just have to know, and half of them are going to be wrong. Well, the majority of them will be wrong. Anyway, you just have to know that's what happens in Costa Rica, okay? But you can, okay? So let me just scroll through here. If you've got a question that I didn't ask, be sure you put it in the chat box. And look, Mark puts in a question here. For how long would you dare leave your home without a house sitter in a small rural community? I would not leave my house any longer than maybe 3 or 4 days, at the most a week. Okay. But I definitely would not leave my house unattended, because as soon as you leave, if there's not a car parked in there, the locals assume that you're gone. So on day one, it's not going to be a big deal. Day two, they're like, uh-oh, he might have gone to the States. Day three, oh, he's not here. Let's plan to rob his house. By day 4 or 5, they're looking at breaking in. So if I were you, we go places over the weekend, and our neighbor always watches ours. Okay. But hey, if you're close enough to have a neighbor, ask the neighbor to watch it. And then when you get back, pay them a little bit, right? Ask them to, take photos and stuff. And give them 10,000 colones, right? But hey, there's websites, house sitting sites. And look, I mean, it's $50 a year, $100 a year for the better ones. And people are coming down here all the time just looking for a place to vacation, and they can live there for free. Okay. And so let them come and house sit. It's easy to get a house sitter. Okay. So anyway, I hope that answers your question there. So I'm breezing real quick through here some of these to make sure I answered your questions. All right. And I want to be sure to answer all of your questions. Now, Doug did bring up a good point. He says they have matched the driving requirements with a new 180-day visa. When I was there in December, it was not. So, yes, that was in the process of the legislation. I can't verify myself, but I'm glad you put that up there, Doug. I know that it was in the works. They were just waiting on a signature, and I'm sure, so Doug is saying that they've already met the requirements. It's already legal and has been passed. So, hey, that's good. I'm going to have to go and take a look at that, maybe do a video on that. So, anyway, now if you come for 180 days, guess what? You don't have to worry about stamping out in 90 days in order to be legal to continue driving Costa Rica. Yeah, you just have to understand that the wheels of justice in Costa Rica move so slow, and there's so many different departments. And so, immigrations and the driving people, while they're two government departments, you would think they would talk to one another. Man, they don't talk to one another. And then you have these government heads, and it's like they want to fight against one another instead of working together. Doesn't make sense to me, but hey, that's just Costa Rica's third world thinking, okay? It's just part of it. But I'm glad you put that in there, Doug. Thank you so much for giving me that input. Now Emery says he's been looking at land for a couple of years now, just hadn't pulled the trigger yet. Hey, I haven't had anybody guess on how much money I paid on that 200-meter square piece of property. Okay. So let me tell you, I hadn't had anybody guess. So, when you're buying a piece of property, you can buy anything. I mean, look, you can buy a piece of property for $50,000. You can buy a piece of property for $100,000. You can buy a piece of property for $1 million. You can get taken, okay? But I bought a 200 square meter piece of property that I can legally put a house on. What did I pay? I paid $1 million colones. So at the time, that was about $1,600. So I paid $1,600. Now it wasn't a very small town where these people needed they needed the money. A lot of ticos are what Rebecca and I both say, they're land rich, but they're dollar short, man. They're dollar poor. They're colonas poor. So there's a lot of ticos that inherited property, and they have a lot of property, but they don't have any money. So they'll gladly sell you a piece of property. Okay, so hey, you find a farmer who's got a finca, and maybe he's got 40 hectares, and then go talk to him and say, look, I want to buy this hectare right here. Would you sell me just that hectare? Or, hey, if he's not willing to sell it to you, ask him if he'll lease it to you for 99 years. Guess what? Leasing a piece of property is way cheaper than buying a piece of property, because now if you lease it to him, he still owns it. And then you can say, okay, I'm going to pay you, I don't know, say you're going to pay him $1,000 a year. Okay. Maybe I wouldn't even offer that much. Tell him you're going to pay him $100 a year. He'd be happy Okay. So, and you can negotiate. So anyway, for people that don't have a lot of money and they want to move to Costa Rica, but can't afford to pay money. Hey, come down here. Take some time, drive around, knock on doors, get you a good friend like Rudy and Tico, and help him go find you. Because I can tell you, I did not find that piece of property on my own. I actually had a Tico go with me, knocking on doors, and we found that piece of property for 1 million clones. And I had everybody tell me, impossible. Yeah, ain't nobody gonna sell you a lot for 1 million clones. Well, it only took me about 2 weeks, and I had a lot that I bought for 1 million clones. So you can do it. You don't need a lot of money to buy a piece of property, okay? TP asked a question here, says, if you build, can you bring your architectural drawing from the U.S. and be accepted? Is the permit process as stringent as we have in Florida, or do they drill you on inspections? Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, so TP, you can bring your architectural drawings from the United States. Now, will they accept them? I doubt it. But what they will do is because in Costa Rica, it's kind of like you go to you go anywhere to a touristy area, a national park, you're almost forced, you're coerced, you're encouraged to hire a guide. You don't have to, but in a lot of places, it's just a good idea. You'll enjoy it more to hire a guide. Well, it's the same thing with building. In Costa Rica, you have to. You don't have a choice. You have to hire an architect, okay? And so you have to hire the architect. Now, if you don't want to wait on him to do all of the architectural drawings and all that, well, then submit your architectural drawings. He'll look at it. Bam. He'll stamp off on it because you're paying him. He'll stamp off on it. Bam, you can use those architectural drawings in Costa Rica. Now, it is the architect's job to get all of your permits, get all of the stuff you need to start building. It is the architect's job to do inspections, okay? However, it's not like the United States where they're checking every little bitty thing. In Costa Rica, you hardly ever see the architect at the job site. So guess what? When the architect's around, when they're pouring cement, he doesn't see what's going into that cement. He doesn't know if there's all kind of flaws and mistakes. He doesn't see how thick the cement is. I mean, we tore down one place where the guy had already spent $100,000, and I guarantee you, for a 2-story building, that cement wasn't more than about 4 inches thick. The footings were awful, okay? So while it's the architect's job to be an inspector there, he's not there all the time. So if you're going to build, and there's lots of nightmares in building, I would never, ever, ever build unless I hired a third-party project manager. Hire a project manager like myself to be on the job, and he's there at, several times a week. If best, try to get someone who can be there every day, who's going to be there. And he doesn't have to be there every day. But key points, when they're pouring the cement, you want to inspect everything before it's too late. And that way you have a project manager who's taking pictures, taking videos, sending them to you so that, if you're in the United States and you can't be here, you got somebody that is doing that for you. Now, it will cost you a lot of money, but the money you will save will be phenomenal. So what I always like to say is you're going to pay one way or the other. You are going to pay for a project manager whether you hire one or not. If you don't hire a project manager, you're going to get inflated prices, inflated problems, all kind of problems. And so you're going to pay for it. If you have a project manager, it's going to cost you. But guess what? Everything is going to get built right. And so you're going to pay for it one way or the other. It's better to go ahead and pay to have a project manager and not deal with the headaches. So I hope that helped you there. Okay. All right. So Doug, thank you for clarifying that. Doug was asking if they did pass it yet. I wasn't saying they had. Okay. I'm glad you clarified, Doug. I don't know. I will double check. So Doug is saying, I didn't say they did. I thought he was sharing the scoop. So I hadn't heard yet, but I do know that it's just waiting on a signature. Okay. So, here's Northern was saying he was guessing I paid $50,000 for that 200 square meters. And look, that would not be surprising. There are small pieces of lots that you'll pay that kind of money, but I only paid $1,600. Okay. Hey, that's a pretty good question. Can you get pepper spray or taser legally as an expat? You know what? The next time I go visit an armory, I'm going to go find out. I'm sure you can get pepper spray, but I don't know that for certain. So, I'm really big on, if I don't know the answer, I'm not just going to make one up. Okay. I want to be sure to give you the real scoop. Okay. So I'm going to look into that. I'm going to write that down here. Can I get pepper spray or a taser? Okay, I'm going to check into that and see what I can find out. And man, we'll have to do a session on that. And now Doug says, I just gave my sister-in-law in San Jose a taser for Christmas, and he brought it on the plane. Now, I was about to say that. I think you can have a taser, and I'm really kind of surprised that you had it in your carry-on, okay? But that's because I'm sure Costa Rica doesn't know what it is, okay? They don't see that as a real weapon, right? And so you could probably easily bring that in. But even if I've been kind of scared to bring it in my carry-on. I'm surprised they didn't take it from you. But hey, that's good to know. But I'm sure you could put it in your luggage, right? Put it in with all your stuff. They would have no idea what it is because sometimes the taser almost looks like a shaver. So, but for me, I think that would be a good idea. Have a taser, give it to your wife or your family, and that way you don't worry about it. So TP, and so TP says not carry on, had to check the bag. So so TP says TP was telling Doug that he gave one to a taser to his sister-in-law, and he put it in his check bag. Hey, thanks for clarifying that, TP. Sometimes these questions can throw me off. Okay, so that's good stuff right there. So, and look, let me remind you folks that it helps me greatly. I take a lot of time to prepare for some of these lives, get you the information you need. And the way that you can thank me several different ways. Hey, you can do like Uncle Chico. You can support by hitting that $sign. But you can also support by simply when the video is over, put comments in the videos, hit like, hit subscribe. It really does help my channel out a lot. Share my channel with other people so that other people can get the information. So while you're doing a lot of commenting right now during the live, and that's good, what is better is the comments afterwards. So, when we shut this baby down, go in there and put some comments. If nothing more than hi, if nothing more than, hey, this is a great live. This is a great, Q&A. Put something in there, because YouTube, the algorithm sees the engagement. And if they see the engagement, then they're like, hey, there was a lot of engagement on here. Let's push it out to other people. So, hey, just support the channel by giving monetarily, by joining the members area, by joining me at the relocation retreat, or simply commenting, liking, and sharing. Okay, I greatly appreciate it. And look, oops, wrong comment. Ron has been talking about this and quite a bit on the last couple of them. And he's talking about it's a CO2 pistol that launches pepper projectiles. He's looking into it. So I can't wait to find out from Ron if he gets the true scoop on whether or not that would be legal to use in Costa Rica or not. That would be good to know. Dane is asking, when is the next retreat? The next retreat is March 3rd. Okay. It's filling up real fast. We only have a handful of tickets left. So if you're seriously considering going to the retreat, you want to make sure to go to the link in the description below. You can click on that relocation retreat and you can reserve your spot. And then after you reserve your spot, at least you have your spot. And then the hotel will call you, and then you can pick out rooms and all of that stuff. And you can buy your plane tickets and all of that, So anyway, so that you don't miss out, I would just go and reserve the spot. And that's going to be March 3rd, okay? Here's the question. In Costa Rica, you can buy a taser for less than $40, the same as pepper spray. Wow. So I don't know who this person is, but I'm glad you shared that. Tell me, where would you buy your taser at? You can buy a taser for less than $40. Where did you buy your taser? So that's good input. And, that's one of the reasons that we have these lives I get to learn from you guys as much as you're learning from me. I love to share my information, but I love the interaction inside the Q&A because people are talking to one another and you're getting information. This is very, very helpful. Man, if you think it's helpful, give me a big old thumbs up. You think it's helpful, put a big, big 10 in the chat box, okay? Doug says that they can't legally own a Taser in Canada. And it would be illegal to transport it by air from Canada. So, Doug, if I were you, man, I'd get a hold of somebody that's coming to Costa Rica like myself and say, hey, would you buy a Taser in the United States? And would you meet me in Costa Rica and give it to me? That's what I would do if I were you. Well, hey, this is true. Beto, he says they'll take the shampoo and let you bring the Taser. Hilarious. You are absolutely right. That's the funniest thing in the world. Costa Rica, they'll take stuff out of your suitcase that makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, you can't ship shampoo, you can't ship makeup, but some of the stuff, it's mind-blowing. But hey, that's what makes it comical to live in Costa Rica. And that stuff used to drive me nuts, but hey, just like I said last week, I'm declaring that I'm not going to let some of this stuff that drives me crazy upset me. I'm not, I can't control what happens to me. I can control how I respond to those things. And like I said, when we started the live podcast, man, this week, if it could go wrong or the challenges this week, I'm telling you, I really believe the guy that owns this land, he tried really, really hard to get me to argue. And I just laughed and said, yeah, pura vida. So, hey, my partner in crime, I think you probably are talking about Rebecca Dane. Where's my partner in crime? Well, she's actually getting all dressed up and doing a little bit of work because we kind of thinking about going somewhere. And anyhow, did you hear about that? You have to holler.
I'm here.
She's not quite done dressing up, so she's waving in the background. So anyway, and hey, thank you so much, Paul. Paul says, hey, great show. See you in March. Hey, Paul, be sure to give me a shout out when you do arrive over there. Of course, I try to meet everybody, and I try to remember everybody's name at the relocation retreat. Man, that is just the best time in the world, boy. I mean, worst case scenario, you come to relocation retreat. I talk you out of coming to Costa Rica because I give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Worst case scenario, you had a vacation of a lifetime, okay? You have all kind of fun, okay? Dane says, is she presentable? Well, kind of not. She's just not quite dressed up. She likes to look top notch.
I don't have my Band-Aid on my spider bite.
Okay, she got a spider bite on her nose, and anytime she gets in front of camera, she has a Band-Aid on it. So anyway,
arms. Show them your arm. That's what the spider bite on my nose.
Oh, well, no, I mean, that spider bite is gone. I mean, see, I got this little bitty spider bite, and look, that spider bite has been on there since August, and that one's really small, and so we both got matching spider bites, okay? Except hers is on her nose, and it's a whole lot larger than mine, okay? And so anyway, hey, well, women always want to look presentable, top notch, right? Dressed to the nines. And so she always likes to look as like me.
And I had no comment for what's going to happen in 2024. I'm just taking one day at a time. I have no clue what's going to happen.
Hey, you heard that? Rebecca's like, I don't know what's happening in 2024. I'm not even going to try. So she really didn't have anything that she thought would be beneficial for you guys. So she's like, nah, I'm not going to show up on this one. So maybe she'll show up on the next one, okay? Matter of fact, what are we going to talk about next week on the Living in Costa Rica podcast, okay? Hey, TP says, have you had any more hot chips like you did in Jaco? Whoo, was that a dare? No, it wasn't. It was not a dare. If you hadn't watched that video, that was a fun video. I kind of dared myself on it. And, but anyway, I wouldn't eat any more of those hot chips. That's not something I would do for fun. That was dang hot. Okay. Oh, look, John Miller said, did Rebecca say I'm here or help? I'm in here. Well, it did kind of sound like she was in a can. I got her locked away in her can. I let her out if she's good every once in a while. I probably shouldn't say that. Somebody might take that seriously. So, Randall says, great advice. She likes to be presentable. All right. Hey, JR has a question here. Why would you build a house anywhere without being present? Now, hey, it happens. I was on a bus yesterday and some tourists came on and the driver gringo priced them and all the Costa Ricans on the bus laughed at them. Hey, that happens, okay? That is absolutely insane. But look, if a Tico sees a gringo, he can't help himself, man. I mean, it's kind of like a dog when he sees the cat. Some dogs can't help themselves, man. They're like, they're going to chase him. Well, Tico's that way about gringos. I mean, the stinking Tico who's driving the bus sees gringo coming in. Instead of just saying it's 500 colones, probably charge him 5,000 colones. And then all the Ticos on the bus going to laugh at him because they know you are getting gypped. It just happens. So you're absolutely right. Why would you build a house anywhere without being present? And that's simply because a lot of gringos, they didn't go to the relocation retreat. They didn't do any research. Look, I made that mistake. I made the mistake of coming here. I didn't have anyone tell me what not to do. And so whenever I got ready to buy towers for my internet, man, that Tico, he quoted me $11,000. And I'm like, man, that sounds kind of high. You think that's high? I'd never cheat you, man. We're friends. Yeah, right. You cheated me, all right. Because I later found out I could have built those towers for $5,000. I could have paid a guy. Yeah, he cheated me. So, yeah, why would people do it? People do it because, well, like a lot of people in the United States, you know, if someone cheats you in the United States, you have repercussions. You could take it to small claims court. There's all kinds of things you can do in the United States. And people automatically assume that if something bad happens in Costa Rica, you have a repercussion. No, you don't have any repercussions in Costa Rica. Not repercussion, recourse. Thank you. I wasn't good in school, man. I'm telling you, I barely got out of school. When I say barely, I mean I'm talking about the skin of my skinny tin teeth. I barely got out. Okay, so you have no recourse in the United States if somebody cheats you. So a lot of people just assume that people are going to be honest. They're all nice, you know. So you have no recourse. Hey, big shout out to Paul. Thank you so much who supporting the channel. I greatly appreciate your support. And look, you know, we work hard to try to give you all of this information, and we greatly appreciate you when you support the channel. Just want to say thank you. Okay. Oh, look. Well, hey, this one must be for you, Rebecca. Paul says, please take your wife out. Enjoy your time, and drinks are on me. Well, most definitely are going to do that. Okay.
Thank you.
No, you gotta come around here. You gotta say it louder. You gotta, you know, make sure the mic picks you up.
Oh yeah, because I talk softly. Thank you.
So Paul, in case you didn't hear that, Rebecca says thank you so much. She really appreciates it. You know. So hey, gotta take her out. We can get all dressed up. Woohoo! All right. Okay. Hey, okay. So, hey, this person who said you could buy a Taser in Costa Rica, she put it out there. She says you can buy it in any of the gun shops in San Jose. Also, you can Google it as, and look, there it is right there. So take a quick screenshot or take a picture right here. It says you can, and there's the name of it. Okay. And in the section of safety and defense personal, it's on their webpage. Hey, thank you so much. I would try to pronounce that name, but I know I will mess it up. All I can guess is Perez. Okay. So thank you so much for sharing that information. That is awesome. Okay. So next time I go to San Jose, I'm going to be sure to get me one of those Tasers for Rebecca. While I'm not worried. dude, you're kind of stupid if you take me on. But while Rebecca is with me most of the time, she's not there all of the time. So that would be good to have that. Hey, Brian says, hey, what happened to Michael? Is he late grabbing a Dairy Queen? And hey, I did talk about that. So maybe you missed out. Maybe you showed up late. Unfortunately, the Odd Couple podcast or the Odd Couple videos have died. I don't even know why. But anyway, hey, just watch the first few minutes of the other one. I explained it. It was Michael's idea to do it. Man, it was fun. A lot of fun. He enjoyed it. Michael and I are still good friends. But, Michael gets real busy this time of the year with his tour business. Maybe he just couldn't commit to doing that every Sunday. I really don't know, but it really doesn't matter the reason. Michael's a super good guy. We're friends, and he couldn't go any forward with the Odd Couple Costa Rica podcast. So guess what? No big deal. Rebecca and I always did the podcast, or we used to always do Q&As and videos on Sunday. So we're going to do that. But I'm glad you asked, because I'm not going to do them in the morning. There's a lot of people can't make it in the morning. So I'm curious. We used to always do it at 2:00. So, hey, since you're on right now with me, hey, tell me, do you think it would be good to have these lives, the Living in Costa Rica podcast? Do you think it's best if we did them early in the morning, maybe 10, 11 o'clock, noonish, maybe early noon, 2:00? Or do you think maybe somewhere around 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening would be better? Give me your input. I'd like to hear you put it in there right now and tell me, what do you think would be the best time, considering that, hey, you're watching it. And I know a lot of people just watch the replay, but if you want to attend, ask questions like right now. Dane says, hey, he thinks morning would be better. Early mornings, late mornings, early afternoon, late afternoon. Tell me what you think. Whoops. Let's see here. Oh, right here. John Miller says we have bad gringo pricing going on in Venice, Florida. It's just called snowbird tax or second home surcharge. Well, I guess you can get gringo pricing almost anywhere. So, hey, thanks for that input. And I'm coming through here. Hey, Dane says morning. Bill says around noon. Hey, Doug says morning is best for him. And Maria says it's a good time for me. Thanks. So I'm guessing Maria is saying that 9 o'clock is time. Dane is saying the same time as today. Brian is saying mornings is good. Dane, 9 a.m. Central. And Randall says that he does live streams at 3:45 p.m. So I'd like to see an earlier live stream, like maybe 2 p.m. Hey, thanks for that input. I was kind of thinking maybe late in the evenings on Sunday evening. I was thinking like 6 o'clock Sunday evening. Would that be a better time? Because I was thinking, a lot of people on Sunday morning, a lot of people are going to church on Sunday morning. Then they're going out to eat for lunch. So I was wondering, hey, 6 o'clock on a Sunday evening, you're kind of relaxing. It's a good time for some popcorn and a good old Allen's apple juice, good cold beverage. So I was thinking maybe 6 o'clock in the evening. How many of you guys would say 6 o'clock in the evening would be just a bad time for you or not a good time for you? I was thinking 6 o'clock in the evening would be a relaxing time, but hey, I don't know. Jana says, hey, this same time is good. Maybe you've just gotten used to 9 o'clock in the mornings, okay? John Miller says, just make sure you have a baseball or glove on you and you can legally carry a bat anywhere you want. That's a good concept. And Dane said, hey, 6 o'clock in the evening would be a bad time. Bill says, hey, after breakfast and before football during NFL season. Well, they got a good point there. And Randall says 6 p.m. would work for him. So, hey, I'm just trying to get some input so that I know what would work for you guys, because I can do it anytime on a Sunday. I typically try to go to church on Sunday, but when I go to church on Sunday, I go to church online. So I can attend church online anytime because I always end up watching the replay. Now, Maria says, in the evening, you'd have to compete with other podcasts. And you know what? I don't know who all does podcasts, but I'm glad you put that out there. Maybe there's a lot of podcasts in the evening, so it might be better to have these podcasts in the morning. I'm glad that you put that in there. Of course, Brian says, hey, give evenings a try and you can always change it. I'd still watch. It's so much important knowledge. So thank you so much. And of course, Dane says, hey, I'm already used to this time. And that is a good thought. That you're already used to this time. So, and for me, I do enjoy the early mornings. But hey, I can go to my online church anytime on Sunday. I don't even have to do it on Sunday. Sometimes we just go to online church because we always watch a recording. Sometimes we do it on a Saturday evening because I try to take off at least one day a week, and I usually take off on Saturdays. And that way, because hey, I'm actually working on Sunday. When I do a podcast, that's work for me, and so I'm actually working half the day. But anyway, I'm glad. Hey, thanks for that input. Lots of input. And hey, you know what? I agree with Maru. I think Costa Rica, in my opinion, is the safest land in the world. And that's one of the reasons that we're here. We came 10 years ago, and we were kind of looking for that safety. I didn't feel like the United States was safe anymore. And that's not why we left. We left one day because Rebecca said, hey, why don't we go to Costa Rica? And I was like, huh? Why would you want to do something crazy like that? I'm usually one with the crazy ideas. Yeah, but our lease is about to expire. Why don't we go to Costa Rica? I was just talking to this guy, and she said Costa Rica was nice. Okay, let's check it out. And that's about how it happened. And we didn't do any research. So anyway, that's how it goes. But hey, I think we just about... I think I've answered all of those questions. If you got any last minute questions, I'd be more than glad to give you some answers. Not saying we'll do Q&A every single time. I like to do I love Q&A. But hey, I would love to see this podcast grow and grow and grow and grow to where we have more and more people on the podcast. Otherwise, if we have the same people all the time, well, you can only answer the same question so many times, right? So, hey, really appreciate all of you. Did you enjoy the Living in Costa Rica podcast this morning? And did you enjoy the live Q&A? Let me know. What did you think? Okay. And John Miller says, tell Rebecca it puts the lotion on his skin before it gets on camera again. Then do the dance. Hey, John's a poet and didn't know it. That's right. Just put some lotion on the skin. Hey, Bill says, hey, we enjoyed it. We learned something new each time. Dane says, great show. So, hey, folks, thank you so much. I can't wait to see you next Sunday. And since all this input, I'm going to go ahead and do it next Sunday at 9 o'clock. Until I do more research and get more information. Not sure what we're going to talk about, but I'm sure I'm going to try to know what we're going to talk about at least a week in advance and have that up there so you guys will be prepared and you can see what's coming. That way you can decide to attend or not attend. And hopefully you'll attend all the time. The more people attend just makes it easier and funner for me to get feedback, get information from you guys. So, hey, folks, we'll see you next week. Okay, so enjoy. Thank you so much.